anyone can go and sign up for a demo. So it's easy to set up a classroom. The way that actually works is what we call a classroom is actually a white labeled subdomain. And so for any organization, we'll set up their own container or classroom for them. And then basically any organization can go in and create their content on there. We just charge $3 per user per month for any unlimited course deployment. And so that's just seats or licenses in the platform. So organizations can go in, build in their content completely free, get all security and compliance features and assessment tools they need, and we'll just charge every time someone learns or actually takes a course.
Oh, that's interesting. So you pay by consumption.
Yes.
As when one learner takes one course, then that sort of $3 per month starts to kick in.
Yes, and so learners can do a single time course deployment. So if you just have, let's say, one compliance training, you want to deploy it to everyone, or if you want, you can buy licenses or seats on the platform for an entire year for a whole workforce, and then just deploy unlimited courses to those who have those licenses.
So given that you both met each other within the last 3 years, I'm doing the math here, can you describe where you are in the sort of arc of this startup? Where are you now, and how have you described the journey so far?
Sure. So I think since we first piloted Arist, that was about a year and a half ago now. We spent a year sort of figuring out the course model and building the first version of the text message learning platform, which we launched in July of this year. And since then, we've kicked off pilots with over a dozen Fortune 500 companies and a few leading universities. So by January of 2020, a number of leading organizations will be fully implementing Arist over a wide variety of use cases, which we're really, really excited about. So you're going to hear a lot more about text message learning over the next few months. And in January, we're also launching a brand new version of our text message learning platform that we're going to release to the public. So our goal is that anybody can go on and create a text message course and launch it.
Oh, that's really interesting. So you have a B2C play as well as a B2B play?
Yeah, less so a B2C play and more so, empowering teachers and trainers that may not work for really, really large organizations.
Interesting. So how do you see your organization as its sort of social mission versus for-profit startup?
Sure thing. Yeah. So for every course that we sell on our platform, and every single time somebody takes a course with our subscription model, we donate a course to the Arist Foundation, which works with leading nonprofits and also a lot of smaller nonprofits around the world to distribute text message courses for good. One example of that is currently in Kenya, deaf seamstresses are using Arist to learn financial literacy to jumpstart their small businesses. In Canada, a bunch of high school students are also using Arist to learn financial literacy. And starting next month in Boston, formerly incarcerated individuals are using Arist to learn a bunch of basic skills about business analytics, sales, and et cetera.
It sounds like you're in real data gathering mode around a really wide range of sort of experiments that you're running based on what you've told me in this conversation and what you and I have spoken about before. Do you see yourself in sort of the experimental phase where you're just gathering input as to where this technology and this approach can have the most value?
Yeah, I think definitely. Mainly because what we've seen is that text message learning has a wide variety of use cases, and I think we've sort of been, one of our biggest struggles has been focusing on just one use case, because we could build an entire business out of just doing HR training reps, teaching seamstresses. So it's because it is such a broad learning tool, that's something that we're definitely still exploring.
I am interested, Ryan, on one aspect of this, and you touched on the intimacy of this, and I don't know about other people, but text messaging is a very sort of direct way to communicate. There's something very special about text messaging. I know that I respond to most text messages almost immediately. I don't in any other medium, right? My inbox is full of unread mail, and the fax machine of old is sat in the corner with acres of paper spewed out that nobody ever read. And so text messaging is having its moment, and it's partly because it's so immediate and it's so intimate. I wonder if this causes issues around privacy and how comfortable people are like giving up their phone number to a third party or even their employer to get text-based learning. Have you run into any issues around privacy?
Privacy is typically an initial concern, but the biggest thing I think to know is that we encrypt all phone numbers. We can't actually see any user phone numbers, and we just have the accessibility to text them. So what I think it's really important for people to know is that for the most part, we're giving our employers our phone numbers anyway. But the reality is that if they're using any tools to en masse text them, it's actually illegal to text those employees because they can't really opt out. And so with all the functionality we've built in things like GDPR compliance and different opt-out features so that employees can really control how they're learning and not just have a better end user experience, but actually be safer and more legally compliant while doing it.
How much time do you spend with learners themselves? The sort of in the design thinking world, it's very important to spend time with your customers or your learners and really understand where they're getting value and where they're not getting value from.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we really try and build in systems where it allows us to really interact with the learners and follow up with them pretty consistently on a recurring basis and not just one-time deployments where we remember to follow up with users. And so for us, a lot of that is just, following up with people who've taken courses, interacting with them, asking them whether it's through assessments within the course or through separate follow-up about how their experience was, how much information they remember, a few weeks down the road and what their experience was like. And so we can understand what sorts of things we should change, how the content should adapt, and also how the functionalities of the platform should adapt as we, as Michael touched upon before, learn more about sort of this new and experimental science of text message learning as a whole.
One of the perennial questions for people who are in the learning technology business is, are we a platform? Are we an enabler or a set of tools? Or are we a content play where we have specific things to say or sets of things to say to people? And that might be very, very specific things, or it might be whole content libraries. Mm-hmm. How do you think about yourselves in that sort of dichotomy?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we primarily are a text message learning platform. We're not the content creators for a lot of companies. However, we do have a robust set of content guides and frameworks. As we spoke about before, it can be hard for learning designers, instructional designers, and specifically academics to sort of adapt to this new way of writing first. And so we've become really good at creating these different frameworks and guides for how you actually create an instructional text message course that's effective. However, we try to really help content creators to input that content themselves so that the industry experts or the thought leaders or the content creators within larger organizations can be the ones writing the content, and we're just the ones making sure that it's done so in an effective manner and deployed well.
Does the platform have like a specific tool that helps me get to the essence of my message, or is it sort of meta information? Is it guidelines and templates?
Sure. So it's a combination of both. We have outside of the platform a set of guidelines and templates that are actually being built into the platform. Uh-huh. However, we also have certain limitations within the platform itself. For example, you can't write a day that's actually longer than 1,200 characters, and you can only add a set number of assessments. And a lot of that for us is around keeping the information really brief and making sure that the content writer is getting to the point and they can't actually build out a longer form course.
Yeah, I got it. I mean, I think this is really fascinating. It's going to be amazing to see what designers can do with the constraints, because constraints is obviously often the mother of great design. And I'm going to be fascinated to see examples of this. To that end, can we see examples of courses? Does that come with a package?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we actually just launched a new content library a few days ago. And so if anyone goes to courses.arist.co, they can see courses in everything from financial literacy, architectural history, and public speaking to intro to agile methodology, sales 101, design thinking. So some business basics courses, but also some courses for the academics and just the intellectually curious.
Let me go to Michael and say, you've already talked about, you sort of hinted at possibly a new release coming in the new year and some big go-to-market activity happening in the spring. What's next for you, and what are you excited about in terms of the immediate future for Arist?
Sure. Yeah. So I think the first thing that we're really excited for is being able to share a lot of the use cases and a lot of the data that we've been gathering.
Yeah.
I think the natural reaction most people have to text message learning is skepticism, right? I think skepticism about how much content you can plug in, and also skepticism about the efficacy of text message learning. And so being able to share those use cases and share that data is something we're thrilled about. And in general, our goal, we see text message learning as a really important tool for a variety of use cases. And so being able to offer this tool that we believe is vital to so many organizations and to so many companies and institutions, that's what we're really excited about over the course of the next few months, in the next year. currently we have, about a total of about 24 organizations using Arist. Within the next year, our goal is to reach about 1,000.
Excellent. And tell me, what can people do to engage and help you on your mission here?
Sure. So I think two things. First off, if you have a learning organization at your company or are interested in piloting text message learning, we'd love to help you. And as well, if you know a nonprofit or a for-profit that could really benefit from this, let us know. We're currently expanding our impact operations, especially quite a bit. And we're always looking for great, innovative nonprofits that could really benefit from text message learning. I have a soft spot for nonprofits, so.
Of course, and we can really help you there. We actually been doing a lot of work on what we call our Learning for Good series, and we've made a lot of connections. I know we've got you connected with the people at the Cornerstone Foundation, and we got lots of ideas, so stand by for more on that. What about your resources? Like, what did it take to build this? What kind of resources do you have on hand? How will you be able to expand and support a broader set of customers?
So Arist, we started Arist with absolutely nothing. So I started, I think, with about $100, $100 about a year and a half ago. And we actually just recently closed our first round of funding from a variety of learning experts and CLOs. So we're really thrilled about that, and that's really going to help us with this upcoming platform redesign and also with hiring. So we're in the process of hiring about 3 new people. So we always love to work with and are looking for really innovative thinkers in the learning space.
Will that make you a team of 5?
That will actually make us a team of 7. So,
excellent.
Yeah, we're really excited.
Very, very cool. What kind of help have you been able to get? Do you have an advisory board? And what kind of alliances have you been able to strike on your journey so far?
Sure, thanks. So we have mainly, I'm not sure if I can name them here, but we've worked with a number of different strategic partners, mainly who are the top, learning and training institutions, academic institutions, and they've been really instrumental in introducing us. We've also built an advisory board of top leaders and trainers, mainly based in the Boston area. And so people who have started and sold different learning companies, top learning advisors, and people who are really just experts in the learning space primarily comprise our advisory board.
And in particular, Larry Israelite, who's the former L&D lead at Liberty Mutual, Kirsten Masabi, who's the former CEO at Cornerstone On Demand, both of them have been just absolutely exceptional and have really been mentoring us significantly over the past few months.
It's going to be really exciting to see how you guys get on, particularly over the next few months as you start to really go to market with the platform. Where can people learn more?
So if you go to www.arist.co, that's ARIST, and that's .co. You can learn a lot more about the platform, and Ryan and I are always happy to chat.
Great. And I usually ask people on the podcast where they get their inspiration for doing the kind of work that they do. I find that people in the learning space feel like they're on some kind of a special mission. There is something really rewarding about helping people get better at what they do. Can I ask each of you what motivated you to go on this journey with your amazing product?
Sure, absolutely. I guess I'll start there. And so my interest with Arist was actually, Michael spoke about his work in Yemen. I had actually been doing some teaching in Tanzania for a few weeks. And so that really got me bought into this different type of learning and really got interested in the effects of this learning. But I think more long term, what really keeps me motivated is that if we look at it from a return on investment standpoint, for the average person in the world, education is the best investment they'll ever make. And so now more than ever, there's really an opportunity for organizations both at home and abroad to invest in emerging learning technologies. And I believe that if we look 5-10 years down the road, those will be the things that really create meaningful outputs on a large scale.
Yeah, and for me, both my parents are refugees, so and education was the only way they were able to make it out of a really bad financial situation. So education runs deep in my family. It's something I care deeply about, and as well, with my work with Tile, bridging the social capital gap is something that I really care about. I think one thing that I've found really interesting over the past few years is that our world no longer suffers from a content problem, right? There's plenty of free, brilliant, amazing content. We now just suffer from a content delivery problem. And so I think that's what really motivates me. I think with Arist, we have a really interesting opportunity to fix the way that content is delivered and make it a lot more accessible and efficient. And that's what drives me every day.
I'm really intrigued by the sort of mix of what we might call